I heard my husband telling his friends that I smell so bad after giving birth to our child. The secret I was never meant to hear. There are moments in life when your soul fractures not with a loud crash but with a silent shattering that only you can hear. I still remember the afternoon the pieces of my heart was shattered. The very day I overheard my husband, the man who once lit up candles and read petals to ask me to be his wife, laughing with his friends as he said words that pierced deeper than a blade ever could. But let me take you back a little. Before the scent of shame. Before the betrayal. Before motherhood became a battlefield. I am Ellen. Daughter of Oliver and Abigail. I was born in a small country town with one stoplight, 2 churches, and neighbors who became family without asking. Our house was old, creaky in the floorboards, and warm in every other way. We had an old wood-burning stove that smoked in winter and windows that rattled when the wind got loud. We didn't lock our doors at night. Not because we were careless, because we didn't need to. Out there, honesty wasn't something you had to beg for. My parents were farmers. Honest to the bone, hands always cracked from hard work but soft when they touched me. Daddy had a beard that tickled when he kissed my cheek, and Mama had this look in her eyes that could settle any storm inside me. We didn't have riches. But we always had food. Enough to feed our bellies and our neighbors. Enough that we never ate alone, even if it was just biscuits and greens. Mama used to say, when God gives you plenty, you better open your door wide. And so we did. I grew up in the fields. I used to dance in the wheat like it was a ballroom floor. Laugh with the chickens. Talk to the cows. I was a barefoot, sunburnt, freckle-faced girl with grass-stained knees and wild hair. People in town used to say I had a smile that could disarm a warrior. I didn't know what that meant back then. I just thought they liked my dimples. But as I got older, I understood what they meant. I had a way of making people feel safe. I loved to see people happy. I loved love. I thought that would be enough. It wasn't. I worked at the small clinic just outside of town after high school. I was a nurse assistant, took blood pressure, wrapped sprains, changed dressings. Nothing fancy, but it made me feel useful. I liked helping people, even when it meant long hours or sore feet. And then, everything changed. It started with a letter. A midwifery program in the city. Chicago. Full scholarship. My heart jumped so hard I thought it might knock over the kitchen table when I told Mama. I want to go, I said, voice shaking. I want to do more. Be more. She hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. Daddy just nodded, tears gathering in the corners of his eyes. Go, he said. Take your light to the world. I packed my things in 2 suitcases, kissed the chickens goodbye, and boarded the bus with my heart wide open. The city hit me like a cold wind. Fast, loud, sharp. But I didn't let it break me. I studied hard. I learned quickly. I learned to catch babies and calm mothers and read charts like stories. But in all of that, I was still just Ellen from the farm. Soft-spoken. Gentle-hearted. Still smiling like I could save the world. That's when I met him. Liam. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Confident like a lion in the wild. He walked like he owned every room he stepped into. His voice, smooth, deep, charming. But it was his eyes that got me. Hazel. Melting. The kind of eyes that lingered. That made you feel like the only woman breathing. He came in for a hospital tour, one of those friends of the board types. I was standing by the nurse's station, charting. He smiled. I smiled back. Something happened in that moment. Something that made my heart skip, then race, then whisper, be careful. I didn't listen. We started talking. Then texting. Then dating. It was fast, so fast it felt like falling with no parachute. But I didn't care. I was happy. giddy, even. He made me feel like the most beautiful woman alive. He called me sunshine. Said my smile was his favorite part of the day. Took me out to dinners, bought me flowers, kissed my forehead like I was precious. I fell hard. Maybe because I wanted love so badly. Maybe because he made me feel like I was finally seen in a city full of strangers. Within a year, we got married. Just like that. I wore my mother's wedding dress. Lace yellowed by time, but it fit me like it had been waiting. We said our vows under an arch of wildflowers in a small garden on the edge of the city. Daddy cried. Mama held my hand the whole time. And then I moved into Liam's family home. That's where the fairy tale started to wilt. The house was beautiful, marble floors, silver-framed photos, chandeliers that hung like frozen tears. But it was cold. Cold in ways I didn't expect. His mother, Joyce, was proper, polished, and always slightly annoyed by my presence. I tried, I really did. I cooked. Cleaned. I folded towels into perfect rectangles. I said thank you too often and sorry even more. I learned to stay silent when Joyce made backhanded comments about my upbringing. You're from a farm, right? That's cute. I smiled. Even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. But Liam, in those early months, was still sweet. Still touched my face like it was a treasure. Still called me sunshine. And then I got pregnant. The day I told him, he lifted me off the floor and spun me around. A baby, he said, kissing me again and again. We're going to be a family. I believed him. I wanted to. But the pregnancy wasn't kind to me. My ankles swelled until my shoes didn't fit. My back ached so bad I cried in the shower. My skin darkened in places no one talks about, the back of my neck, my underarms. My hormones made me weepy, sweaty, exhausted. I would look in the mirror and barely recognize myself. I wasn't glowing, I was surviving. And even that felt like a gift. Still, I endured. I told myself this was love. This was normal. This was what women do. When labor came, it didn't come gently. It came like a storm, 48 hours of pain that felt like being pulled apart from the inside. I screamed. I bled. I begged God to just let her come. And finally, she did. My baby girl. My light. My reason. The moment they laid her on my chest, I knew what heaven felt like. But that was also the moment something in Liam started to turn cold. They don't tell you what it feels like to disappear inside your own skin. They don't write songs or poems about the nights when your body becomes a stranger, and your heart, a quiet scream. No one teaches you what to do when the man who once worshipped you can barely look at you, barely tolerate the sound of your breath. But I learned. I learned the hard way. After my baby girl was born, my sweet, perfect girl with my eyes and Liam's dimples, I thought things would feel whole. I thought being a mother would somehow glue the cracks in my marriage, that Liam would see me, truly see me, and realize what a miracle we had made. But he didn't see me. Not really. He saw the stretch marks on my belly. The tanned patches under my arms. The breast pads tucked into my bra. The smell of milk and blood and sweat that no soap could erase. He saw a mess. But I saw a mother. A warrior. I had carried our daughter for 9 months, suffered through 2 days of labor, and almost blacked out from the pain. My stitches were still healing. My breasts were leaking at all hours. I would sit in bed, night after night, soaked in sweat, holding a baby to my chest while Liam snored beside me like my exhaustion was invisible. I told myself it was just the adjustment. That he was tired too. That we'd find our rhythm. But weeks passed. Then months. And Liam stopped touching me. Stopped talking to me unless it was about the baby. He stopped kissing me goodbye. stopped looking at me with the eyes that once made me feel like I could light up an entire city. At first, I blamed myself. I tried everything. I bathed 3 times a day. I used every kind of scented lotion I could afford. I brushed my teeth until my gums bled. I straightened my hair even when it was falling out in clumps. I sprayed perfume on my neck, on my thighs, behind my knees. So much that sometimes my baby would sneeze when I held her. But still, nothing. One Wednesday afternoon, my world fell apart. I was nursing the baby in our bedroom. The door was cracked open. I remember the sunlight spilling in across the rug, the baby's tiny fingers gripping my thumb as she suckled. I was half asleep, half awake, drifting in that place between joy and exhaustion. And then I heard them. Liam. And his best friend, Noah. They were in the living room, laughing. Man, ever since she gave birth, she smells like a damn cow barn, Liam said, laughing. I swear, sometimes I walk in and it's like, boom, milk, sweat, and blood. Jesus. Noah cackled. You better not say that to her face, man. She's still hormonal. Nah, Liam said, chuckling. She's too tired to notice anything. And besides, he lowered his voice, it's not like I want to sleep with her like this. I froze. Every word landed like a blade. I didn't cry, not right away. I just sat there, still as stone, the baby now asleep against my breast. My ears rang. My heart slammed so hard it felt like it might rip through my ribs. My hands went cold. My face, numb. He had thrown me under the bus of shame and then laughed as it rolled over me again and again. I remember looking down at my daughter, her lips still slightly parted, her cheeks flushed with milk. She had no idea that her father had just humiliated her mother. No idea how words could kill something inside you without drawing a single drop of blood. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the toilet seat, pads soaked in blood, my head resting against the bathroom wall. I stared at the tiles. Counted them. Thought about everything I had done, how hard I had tried. And still, it wasn't enough. Still, I wasn't enough. That night, something in me cracked. Quietly. Like a porcelain plate dropped on carpet, no noise, but completely shattered. After that, I avoided mirrors. Couldn't stand to look at myself. I saw what he saw now, a woman broken, stretched, used. I scrubbed my body until it turned red. I changed my clothes 3 times a day. I stopped eating full meals, just nibbled, telling myself I needed to shrink, to disappear, to become beautiful again. Joyce, Liam's mother, started to notice the tension, the distance. But instead of asking questions or showing concern, she turned her wrath on me. You used to be pretty, she said one morning, sipping tea in her silk robe. I mean, I know pregnancy changes a woman, but you really let yourself go. I said nothing. She went on, unfazed. Liam's a good man. You should be lucky he's still here. Still here. As if his body being in the house excused the fact that his heart had long left the building. I found solace in my baby. I sang to her. Talked to her like she was my friend. She would look up at me with those wide, trusting eyes and smile like I was her whole world. And in those moments, I believed I still mattered. But the pain never really left. Every time I heard Liam's laugh, I flinched. Every time he left the house without saying goodbye, I died a little more. I was mourning a man who was still alive. Mourning a marriage that was supposed to be my fairy tale. One night, months later, I thought things might be better. Liam had stayed home for dinner. He was sitting at the table, scrolling through his phone. I tried. I really did. I had showered twice that day. Worn the only dress that still fit me. Brushed my hair until it was smooth. I sat down next to him at the table and reached for the salad. He looked up, nose wrinkled. Go and brush again, he said, flat. You smell. He didn't even look at me when he said it. I nodded. Not because I agreed, but because I was too broken to fight. I stood up, walked into the bathroom, shut the door. And then, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at myself in the mirror. Really looked. And I saw her. The girl from the country. The one with the bright smile. The one who danced in the wheat and hugged cows and believed in love with her whole heart. She was gone. And in her place was a woman too tired to fight. Too bruised to speak. Too lost to be found. But underneath all that pain, there was something else. A flicker. A tiny ember. Something old and wild and angry. That night, after putting the baby to bed, I sat on the back steps and called my Aunt Rosalie. She lived states away. Ran a modeling agency. Wore red lipstick and high heels even to breakfast. She was the family's black sheep, bold, free, untamed. She picked up on the first ring. "Hey baby girl," she said. "I was just thinking of you." I didn't even say hello. I just started crying. Messy, shaking, choking sobs that had been waiting months to be let out. I told her everything. Every word. Every insult. Every wound. She didn't interrupt. She just listened. When I finished, there was silence. Then, "Come. Pack your baby, your things, and come. I'll take care of you. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Just come." And just like that, everything changed. That night, I packed one small bag. Wrapped my daughter in a soft shawl Mama had knit when I left for college. I didn't write a note. Didn't leave a message. Just silence. The same silence I had been buried under for months. But this time, it was mine. The thing about healing is, it's not loud. It doesn't come crashing in like a wave. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets or banners. It arrives quietly. In the in-between moments. Like standing in front of a mirror and not flinching. Like putting on a dress because you want to, not because you hope someone will notice. Like holding your baby and realizing you are her whole world, and that, somehow, is enough. I used to think healing would feel like fireworks. But for me, it felt like peace. Like waking up in the morning without the weight of dread sitting on my chest. Like walking into a room and not shrinking. Like laughing without guilt. It took months. Some days I fell back into old thoughts. Whispers of unworthiness, echoes of Liam's insults. They'd creep in like shadows. But every time, I fought back. With love. With softness. With truth. Rosalie watched it happen. Day by day. Like a gardener watching something long buried begin to bloom. "You're different now," she said one afternoon as I prepared for a campaign shoot. "Not just prettier. Brighter. Like the sun's finally found you again." I smiled. I think I finally found myself. And I had. The Ellen who left that cold house in Chicago had been hollowed out by pain and shame. But the Ellen standing now in front of cameras, holding her daughter's hand, smiling without fear, that woman was whole. Maybe not unscarred. But stronger for every crack. And then, one day, he showed up. Not in person. Not yet. First, it was more messages. Then emails. Then a call from a number I didn't recognize, but I knew that voice. "Ellen," Liam said, his tone cautious, I saw your billboard on Fifth Avenue." Pause. "You look beautiful." I said nothing. He exhaled. I was a fool," he continued. "I didn't know how to be a father. Or a husband. I messed everything up. But I miss you. I miss our family. Can we talk? Talk?" That was rich, coming from the man who once recoiled when I sat beside him. The same man who mocked the scent of my body while I nursed his child. I wanted to scream at him. To say, where was this softness when I was bleeding on the bathroom floor? Where was this regret when I begged with my silence? But instead, I just said, it's too late. And it was. Because the truth was, I didn't hate Liam anymore. I didn't love him either. He was just a chapter. A brutal, unforgettable chapter. But no longer the whole book. I hung up. And for the first time, I felt nothing. Not sadness. Not rage. Just freedom. That night, I fed my daughter dinner by candlelight. She was growing fast now, talking, laughing, her curls bouncing with every step. She was safe. She was loved. She was happy. And I had done that. Me. Not Liam. Not his mother. Not anyone else. Just me. I put her to bed, tucked her blanket around her little body, and kissed her forehead. And then I stood on the balcony of Rosalie's townhouse, looking out at the city lights below, my robe fluttering in the breeze. Behind me, my phone buzzed. Another message. This one from Alexander. Alexander was not like Liam. Where Liam was loud and boastful, Alexander was calm and thoughtful. Where Liam saw my body as a burden, Alexander saw it as sacred. Where Liam turned away, Alexander leaned in. He was a business mogul. A philanthropist. A man who had loved and lost in his own time, who carried his grief with grace. We met at a charity gala where I was the face of a postnatal health campaign. He watched me from across the room, not like a hunter, but like a man watching the sky shift color. When he spoke, it wasn't flattery. It was awe. I've never seen someone carry both pain and beauty so effortlessly, he said. You walk like someone who's been to hell and returned with light. It wasn't a line. He meant it. And he meant it every time we spoke, every time we walked, every time he asked about my daughter and listened like her existence mattered to him too. We didn't rush things. I wasn't ready to love again at first. But Alexander didn't demand a timeline. He just stayed. Softly. Patiently. Until one day, I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of love. Not of mirrors. Not of being seen. I had spent so many years trying to be invisible. Trying to take up less space, make less noise, need less affection. But now, standing in my truth, I wanted to be seen. I deserved to be seen. With Alexander, it was never about rescuing. He didn't come into my life like a savior, and I didn't want one. I had already saved myself the night I walked out of that cold house with my baby wrapped in a shawl. What Alexander gave me was something far rarer: respect, consistency, and space to breathe. He loved the way I spoke about motherhood. He asked questions, not to pry, but to understand. He never tried to fix my scars, he honored them. I remember one evening, we were walking near the lake with my daughter nestled in her stroller. She was babbling about birds and trees and bubbles. I had been quiet for most of the walk, lost in thought. "What's on your mind?" he asked. "I'm still afraid sometimes," I confessed. "That I'll become her. The girl I used to be. That I'll forget how far I've come." Alexander stopped walking. He turned to me, gently taking my hand. "You'll never forget," he said. "But you'll grow so far beyond her that even her shadows won't scare you." That night, I cried in his arms, not because I was sad, but because for once, I felt safe in the presence of a man. Not scrutinized. Not dissected. Not tolerated. But held. He would come over some nights and help me cook, even though he admitted he couldn't tell basil from spinach. My daughter took to him faster than I expected, crawling into his lap to show him her scribbles, calling him Zahn in her sweet baby voice. I never forced it. Never asked for his help. But he showed up. Fully. I knew I was falling for him the day I came down with a fever, and he canceled a high-profile meeting just to sit by my side and hold a cold cloth to my forehead. "You matter more than anything else right now," he whispered. "No grand gestures. No performative acts. Just care. True, simple, tender care." And one morning, as I stood in front of a full-length mirror, wearing a pale gold dress for an upcoming event, my daughter tugged at the hem and said, "Mommy, you look like magic." And maybe I did. Not because of the dress or the makeup or the flashing cameras that would later capture my image. But because I was no longer surviving, I was living. Liam eventually sent a letter. A long one. Full of apologies and self-reflection. He claimed he had gone to therapy, that he was working on himself. That he realized what he had destroyed. He ended it with, "If there's ever a way back, I'll be here." I didn't respond. Not out of spite. But because sometimes the door doesn't close with a slam. Sometimes it closes with silence. Because healing isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your power in quiet, consistent ways. And I had. Today, I am a mother. A model. A partner. A survivor. A woman who was once broken and rebuilt herself piece by tender piece. I tell my story not because it defines me, but because it no longer controls me. To every woman who's ever sat on a toilet seat at midnight, clutching a blood-soaked pad and wondering what she did to deserve mockery, this is for you. To every woman who's ever bathed in silence, who's ever looked in the mirror and couldn't recognize the reflection, this is for you. You are not invisible. You are not unworthy. You are not alone. There is life after betrayal. There is light after the darkest night. I found mine. And so will you. Because we are not just survivors. We are the becoming. And now I want to ask you something. Yes, you, watching this, maybe in the stillness of night, maybe on a crowded train, maybe with tears quietly forming because something in this story felt too familiar. How did you find your way back to yourself? Or maybe you're still on that path, crawling through the silence, trying to remember your name, your joy, your power. I want you to know, you are not alone. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are not beyond becoming. Whether you've left already, or you're still gathering the strength to pack that one small bag and wrap your baby in a shawl of courage, you are doing enough. You are enough. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be true. To yourself. To your voice. To your worth. Let my story be a mirror, not a map. Your journey will look different, and that's okay. But I hope you see in my scars the reflection of your own resilience. We all become in different ways. But we all deserve the chance to bloom. I would love to hear from you. What part of yourself are you trying to reclaim? What did you lose, and how are you finding it again? Leave a comment below and share your story. You never know who it might save. And if this touched you, if this story held a light to a dark place in your life, if this story moved you, made you think, or just made you feel seen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There are more stories like mine, real, raw, and unfiltered, coming soon.